It's a project that's sort of born out of a mutual interest. We'd both been, in our own ways, researching movement tracking technology. Zach and I have a common interest in music. We play music together once in a while, and so we kind of, and I'm a dancer, and so Zach is a composer, so we have these things, right? And we've both done various projects involving this kind of work in the past, but so we sort of got it tinkering together once a week or something like that in the Dome. And Aquakhoria was born from this, I would say, more than anything else. So I'm highly interested in linking movement to anything. So just sort of making the body an instrument, or the body a tool that stretches out beyond it and gives it a greater reach and greater amplitude. And Zach's interest in music sort of gelled perfectly with this. Aquakhoria in many ways is a giant instrument. I'm playing music with my body.
So it was this unexpected magic that was the ability to connect real movement via movement trackers and some sort of physical kind of 3D model, 3D world in which we had sound interaction, and hook them both together. So what happens when you take a 3D game engine and some motion trackers, you have a kind of a particular form of augmented reality. The dancer moves in the real world, and stuff in the virtual world moves accordingly. And if that stuff happens to be stuff that makes sound, like a buoy floating on some water or a bag of nails shaking on a string or whatever, suddenly the dancer has a direct relationship to the sound that happens. And if you pull back one step further and organize the sounds in a 3D scene to be in a musical fashion, then you can actually create musical instruments that are played by the dancer. In other words, motion that's turned into musical gestures. In fact, it's gestures that directly manipulate sound-making objects in the 3D scene, and the music is built around that.
It's super exciting in a lot of ways because it feels like what we're doing is tinkering and playing, and then we sort of fall onto something and we go deep into it. And then we tinker around again, and then we play, and we find something we really like, and we fall into it. And there's huge challenges on a technical level, and then there's huge challenges on a choreographic, physical level. And then it's always the marrying of the two that's really creates this dynamic tension. Like how do you direct focus up, and how do you redirect focus down again, and how do you let them both live? You know, sort of the play back and forth. So as Zach was saying, the body physicality ends up connecting very specifically with the sound environment and the visual environment. And in a lot of ways, it eliminates a lot of the issues. It creates this magic of, where the body is breathing, and you can see the room reacting immediately to it and the sound. So the link is automatically created, and then you can leisurely let your focus drift from one to the other, or accept them as a single unit. And this is one of the beautiful parts of the project that I find challenging and exciting.
Let's just say that the nonlinear nature of the techniques we're using, such as a game engine, allow us to construct these nonlinear narratives that can go in many different possible directions. So the show it's generally the same, but it's never the same. Collaboration inside the project is pretty amazing because, as Peter said, we both play in a garage band together, so we have a musical understanding. I like to move, so I will sometimes move around, and of course developing some of the motion tracking instruments. When Peter's not around, I'm there, doing all that. So to a certain extent, we have a nice kind of understanding, mutual sort of abilities. And fortunately, we kind of like the same stuff aesthetically or whatever, so yeah. That's created a fairly friction-free situation. But it's super interesting because since I've come over, I would say as a composer, to more spatial sort of movement-oriented orientation, the choreography that Peter's coming up with, for me, is almost like a musical score. When we're building scenes, we never have a particular visual that we're going after. We never have a particular sound that we're going after. We in a way, have a particular spatial / movement construct that we're interested in exploring. And as a result of exploring that, we end up with a particular visual and a particular sound. You could say that the sound might come later with more of a composer / music orientation, but the two of them, I think, visuals and sound, you really can't separate them.
I mean, the great thing about the work is also that, you know, I do get to perform, and it offers a lot of freedom as well, in terms of, you know, you don't just have to press play. We can fill in blanks.
Yeah. So the show will be changing each night. It has to anyway, but we're using the performances to sort of keep learning and make little changes as we go, just like in theater or something like that. So